We're pruning this beast of an apple tree today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, today we're going to be pruning this large Bramley apple tree in the garden. It's a whopper, it really is. I think it's probably 100 plus years old, and it formed what was once an orchard around where our cottage is now. So this is one of the last few trees remaining, and I want to keep it. And it's a big tree though, so it needs some work doing to it. And this is the perfect time to do it. Here we are now getting towards the end of January, late winter. We should always be doing this sort of pruning when apples and pear trees are dormant. Not with plums and damsons or cherries, we're looking at apples and pears. And if we stand back, we can see the sort of shape that we're dealing with here. And it is a big tree. I've paced it out, I think it's about 6 meters across and estimated 5 or 6 meters tall, and I want to reduce it just a little bit, keep a good shape, and more importantly keep it healthy and fruiting. So you can see there we've got that big head on it, very dense around the middle, and then we've got lots of new growth from about halfway up, just going up towards the sky there. So what we can do now is just, if we wander in and have a look inside it, we can see just how big this trunk is. It is a beautiful tree in a way. Love this trunk, and I think Mrs. Fisher's got ideas of maybe putting a seat around this, which would work really well. Got some really thick boughs there, but in the past when it's been pruned, probably 4, 5, 6 years ago, it's not been done particularly sympathetically. Instead of being thinned, it's just had a big saw chop off all the branches that were growing up to stumps, and then they've branched out like a porcupine. So what I need to do is to do some thinning. I need to get rid of all these little stumpy bits here and try and thin some of this congestion above me. Probably need to take out 1 or 2 of the bigger trunks a little bit lower to get some growth down. And the idea is we want it to be like a giant wine glass growing out with a hollow centre for good air circulation. So a lot of it I can do with hand tools, with pruning saws, the loppers, a little bit at a time, keep standing back. I may have to use a chainsaw. Now, if you're going to use a chainsaw, please do be very careful. Ideally get somebody in that's qualified. I'm trained to use chainsaws, so I'm going to maybe make the odd cut with a chainsaw, but ideally do it from a ladder or in the tree with hand tools. Take your time and keep getting down. So let's get ready. I'll go up the tree and prune out some of the twiggy bits to start with so I can actually get into the tree and then start some work. Right, so what I've done so far is I've actually taken off some of the old stumps with the chainsaw, and I can tidy these up a little bit more, but these were just stumps that were short that should have been taken back to the main tree. And so that I can get up into the tree to do some thinning, I'm also taking off all these thin ones that have grown out of the main stem. So it's just using a little pruning saw. You could use loppers as well, but just to take those off, because what we want to create is an open centre. So all of these little bits growing in here are hampering that. They're never going to bear fruit anyway, so we need to get rid of those just to open the canopy up. So we just take those off nice and neatly, and that just makes it look so much better. And then round as we go, it's quite congested, and this is a piece here that is really congested. We can see in this piece here, right Joe, we've got this just tangle of old stems, lots of lichen on there, we've got lots of dead bits and all sorts in there. So what I want to do is just, again, to thin it out. We want to promote new growth, and I'm just thinking which is the piece. And this piece here, if I trace that back all the way through there, it goes up to that joint there. So I think if I take that one out at that point, this is dead. I'll get rid of that dead piece first. So that is completely dead. And then take this piece out here, which is an older piece, and just take that out, Just going to support the weight just to get to the end bit, like that. And then I can carefully weave that out, like that. So we've got rid of that completely, this big piece, but it's automatically opened it up. I can take some of these dead bits out and then reduce it back, but it automatically allows more air to flow into that. So what I'm going to do then is just work my way around doing that type of thing, thinning it out, taking all the water chutes off the main trunk, and then I'm going to go up there and get some more of the height down. Sometimes with a tree like this, it's probably easier to climb into it to do some hand sawing. And this is where, in the past, the tree's been pruned to these big, thick stumps here, and we've got these really tall growths. And I want to get rid of a few. They're very congested, so, and anything growing into the centre. So I've got my hat on just to stop things springing into my face. And then I can just, one at a time, just take that little one out first, and then a bigger one, and just thin them out really. So we're going to have to leave some, but what we might do with the ones that we do leave is then prune them down to a sideways branch just to get a bit more shape into the tree. So I can then just pass those down, and then we can clear them away from the base. That one wants to come, this one's growing in completely, so I'm going to take that one out. So it's just a case of working my way around carefully, making sure I don't fall out the tree, and taking them down and passing them down there to the floor. Well, there's quite a bit more coming out than I first anticipated. It's just so thick actually up in the canopy of the tree, but I can actually now see the wood for the trees. I've got some air getting in here. I've opened up this central piece. I've still got quite a lot to take out, you know, trimming back old stumps all over the place like that, which will just tidy it up and help to prevent more disease getting into the tree. And then the job will be to take some of the long growths that I do leave back to a side shoot, as I've already mentioned. So still quite a bit to do, but I feel as if now I'm actually getting somewhere, because when you first start a pruning job like this, you think, crikey, what am I going to do? And a little tip is, which I've been doing, is going up and down the ladder, standing back, having a look to think, yes, that branch needs to come out, go up, take it out, go back and have another look, rather than stay up here all the time, cut loads and loads out and then realise you've made a mistake. You can't put it back, but you can always take a little bit more out. So I'm going to be living in this tree for a little bit longer. So we'll come back in a few minutes or so when I've done a bit more pruning. Well, as you can see, I've done quite a little bit of severe pruning on the tree. I've taken out a little bit more than I intended to be fair, because once I got started, there was so much old wood, some dead wood in there, crossing branches. So I reckon I've taken out probably 50%, which is the most I would ever want to take out. Normally 25, 30%, so you can do this renewal pruning over 2 or 3 seasons. But it needed it because it was just so congested, especially at the top. So I don't really want to take any more. I could do, but I'll leave that for next winter. What I need to do to finish it off now, we've got the bulk out, and you can see this is some of the wood that I've taken out, some of the branches that were growing vertically. So I've really thinned those out. These were a result of it being hard pruned several years ago. So what I need to do is to shorten some of these back to a lateral side shoot, just to stop them going taller and taller. We'll take them to a side shoot, and that will encourage then more blossom and hopefully fruit in the future. So I'm going to do that all the way around the tree. It will just give it a bit more of a shape as well. And then it's more or less finished. So to do that, some I will do from the ladder with my ordinary pruners. I can stand and get some, but some of the taller ones, I'm going to use a long pruner like this. And that's a good example of one growing up there. We don't need those 3 branches up there. So what I could do is quite easily just hook that over and just prune it out like that. So just pull that one out and it slides down, and I can work my way reducing some in height, thinning them as I go around. There's a good one to do there. Again, I don't want that one to keep going higher and higher. Prune that one out and down that drops. So again, we've taken the vertical one out and we've left the 2 that are going sideways. So I'm just going to gradually work my way around, and then I'll show you when it's finished. Well, it got too dark to finish it last night, so I've come out this morning and just done those last few prunes. And it's always good actually to leave it for a day and then have another look at it, because you'll always find a branch that you've missed and you can take them out. But what I've done this morning is I've just used the loppers to shorten some of the growths growing out. We've already taken the top down, we've done all the thinning, but it was still a little bit too wide. So I've just shortened some of the branches growing outwards, and that's just given us a little bit more of a compact shape. One of the things I've also noticed is the tree has got lots of canker on it, and this is canker here, which is a fungal disease, so it will essentially attack any member of the apple family, but it is particularly bad on Bramleys. And I think the fact that it's been so dense with all the branches and foliage has probably been more of a problem on it. But as you can see, the fungus gets onto the stem and then it basically eats its way around it, and eventually it will go all the way round, and what can happen is in time that will then snap because it's just a weak point. So I've been taking out as much of that as possible, and then we'll obviously dispose of that. And I've noticed another little piece this morning just here, which is just on this piece branch here. So you can see it's gone round it and it's actually killed that branch there. So this is something you would do on a regular basis. Check your fruit trees, just cut that off. We've got a healthy branch there, so that will grow, but get rid of anything like that. So that is pretty much it. It's been really thinned out, it's been reduced in height, it's been reduced in width, it's got lots of airflow around it, it's got room for new growth, and as I mentioned, we will come back to it in the summer and do some more thinning out of all those new water shoots that it makes. But we will hopefully still get a few apples off this. Not as many this year, next year we'll get more, but I've noticed on a lot of the growth that I've left, it's got the buds, these lovely big fat buds here at the end. These are the blossom buds, so come April, May time we'll get the blossom, and hopefully we'll get some delicious Bramley apples by the end of the year for apple pies. Well, thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and remember all the videos that we've done you can find on YouTube, including some that we've done in the past on other types of apple pruning. So all I've got to do now is clear up all this rubbish and that's the job done, but we'll see you next week. Bye.